Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call the Municipal District of Taber, July 15th, 2025 regular meeting of council to order. We do have an agenda in front of us, and we have a couple of items that we would like to add if council is so willing. The first is it would fall at number 9.5, development permit 92.25. And the second item would fall into closed session 13.3, which is a human resource matter. Does anyone else have any other items they would like to add?
I can accept the agenda with the additions.
And before I call for the vote, the matters related to lands, including the land use bylaw, so 9.5, 10.1, and 10.2, if we could hold those till 10:30 when our development team is present. Okay, if everyone's good with that, those in favor? That motion is carried. So protocol items, announcements, and recognition. I do have a few items that I'm going to run through. So we would like to congratulate the town of Taber on their 120th anniversary. We had the privilege of attending their excellent ceremony and being part of the celebration. So we congratulate them and look forward to ongoing partnerships with the town of Taber. Also, a big shout out to Vauxhall and Taber for Canada Day and for including the MD of Taber in their festivities. Again, very well done on the backs of volunteers that really demonstrated community spirit and demonstrated the importance of celebrating this great country that we live in. And then I would also like to do a shout out to Summer Games that took place July 2nd to 4th. There were over 2,000 athletes from Southern Alberta with 220 volunteers that were registered, but we know there was probably 50 more volunteers who just came to help at that time. MD and Town of Taber hosted 24 events, and proud to say that the MD of Taber athletes were the top medal count winners with 111 gold, 83 silver, and 58 bronze. So a special thank you to all the volunteers, which include many around this circle, Town of Taber Council, families, individuals, and so many more. And shout out to the MD staff for the events that took place in the MD and to MD Fire who volunteered their services. So there was so many people who were involved, and we really appreciate their efforts, and to the families and everyone who visited. And two more big events that happened this weekend: Taber Tough, that we saw 160 runners with about 30 volunteers, and Taber Motorcycle held a Western Canada event that had in excess of 400 riders and 200 volunteers based on from flagging to everything else that goes along because their family members are all volunteers. So when people wonder what they should do, there's so much going on in our municipality, and I probably have only touched on a few very public, very large events. So, but shout out to the volunteers because those items are not a success without. Anyone else have any protocol or announcement items? Okay, we'll carry on to June 24, 2025, regular meeting of council minutes.
I can give you a motion to accept the June 24th regular meeting of council.
Thank you, Deputy Reed. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That's carried. Public engagement, we don't have anyone on in the chambers and no one has registered to speak. So we'll move straight into our delegations to the RCMP report. Sergeant Kimmel.
Good morning. I'm here to present the June 2025 stats report for my detachment. Last month, we responded to 130 calls for service, and 111 of those were within the MD. We had 0 impaired drivers or suspended drivers last month. We had 22 911 hangups, 16 were within the MD. Sorry, that was criminal code violations. We had 16 in the MD and 22 total. For 911 hangups, we had 9 in the MD of Tabor and a total of 11. Criminal record checks, we did 19 and we did 8 for fingerprints for the general public. We did 7 patrols of Enchant, 21 patrols of Grassy Lake, 6 patrols of Hayes for 34 Hamlet patrols. We made 3 patrols of the MD Park, 1 of the Forks campground, 1 of the Enchant campground, and 3 at Chin for 8 campground patrols and 89 patrols within the MD of Tabor. We wrote 5 violation tickets in the MD of Tabor and 1 in Barnwell for a total of 6 violation tickets. And Traffic Services also wrote 6 more for a total of 12 within our detachment area. Going down to the provincial crime gauge, persons crimes are still high but lower than last month with 113% increase compared to last year. Property crime has gone up 45% as compared to last year, which is also lower than the last month's jump. Break and enter has seen 2 more instances. Theft of motor vehicle has seen 4 more instances, and theft under 5,000 has seen 9 more instances. For my comments, we laid charges in 4 criminal investigations during the month of June. Property crime from June was as follows. We received 2 reports of break and enter. 1 is still under investigation. The other was solved, but criminal charges weren't applicable. There was 1 report of fraud that is still under investigation, and there were 7 reports of theft under 5,000. 4 were solved, but charges weren't applicable, and 3 were unsolved. We had 1 report of robbery. This is also classified as a person's crime, but has a property element, and charges were laid against 2 individuals in this instance. We've been busy, as you can see, with the crime gauge. We are working on the increases, and beyond just ourselves, we're working with our partners and our support sections within the RCMP to try and get a handle on the property crime, which I'm sure you've all heard of. Are there any questions or concerns?
Just in the town of Hayes, we had quite a gathering. I think it was very respectful, but are you notified when it's that large of a group?
We did get an email about it, and I was able to plan for it.
Okay.
We also didn't have any issues. from
No,
that
I
period.
figured
Yeah,
as such, but just to be notified in case of accidents. or-
yeah, I got an email about it, so it's good to get the notification of that, so we can kind of even plan for it. Yeah, that went off without incident, so.
Yeah, that was more or less my question
Yeah.
is if you appreciate the notification of
Absolutely.
over when there's
Absolutely.
larger groups in a certain area.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd just like to do, in line with our announcements at the beginning, I just want to thank Tamara Dreddy, who's the Detachment Services Assistant, for her help at Summer Games, and Constable Ryan DiLoretto, who stepped in. We had a volunteer who had a medical, and Constable DiLoretto stepped in to help us out so that the games could keep running smoothly, and to Sergeant Gemmel, who was available to assist in areas that we needed for the track. So it's really awesome to see the level of community involvement, and it just makes it just demonstrates to people that you're so much more than just law enforcement.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, guys.
Okay, I would take a motion to accept the RCMP report.
I can give you a motion to accept the RCMP report as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, declaration of conflict. Seeing none, we'll continue on to the consent agenda, the CAO report. I'll turn it to Arliss.
Thanks for reading me, I guess. So ultimately, as is every month, we have it here presented to council for Any questions that after they've reviewed, we're here to answer, but I guess I would say the highlight or the more major highlight of the CAO report this month is our first presentation of our first iteration of financial reporting, which makes that part of the CAO report. So when the time comes for that, come on, yeah, you can come up. But when the time does come, if there's after we've addressed any other questions, Mike can walk us through the financial reporting.
Okay, I'll take any questions from council on the report.
I guess one thing I would add, we did add a service program map with respect to some of the public works programs. In future months, you'll likely see that broken into multiple maps and not one. It's a pretty busy map.
For me though, the maps actually, I can read where things have happened, but when I can see the visual of all these different maps, like even the roadside mowing, they are helpful for those of us who do better with pictures than words, like myself. So I appreciate them. Deputy Reeve.
Yeah, maybe you could give us a little update on the Hamlet services. I know there's a new gentleman in the hamlet of Hayes, and that seems to be going over very well, and where we're at and
Right.
where you see it coming.
So we do have staffing in place out in Hayes. We're still recruiting for the staffing that we would plan on placing out in the hamlet of Enchant. So again, still a work in process in terms of getting the staffing in place. But it's started, so maybe about a month old.
And there's already been some nice compliments for the service, so thank you for that.
Any other questions? For those who are only watching and who haven't maybe looked at the agenda, it is definitely worthwhile to look at how robust the CAO report is. So I do believe sometimes when there isn't questions, it demonstrates that the information is very relevant and gives us lots of instruction. And yes, Councillor Hildebrand.
Just looking for an update on the road maintenance, construction progress, shoulder pull, graveling, and then some of the pavement patching and rehabilitation, how we're progressing with that, if we're on schedule for the summer works project.
Yeah, I can go to I'll let Corey speak to it in more detail than I, but I'll just go to the map. It's tough to reference the map here, but I'll go to the legend here. You can speak to it, Corey. At least at the end of June, right?
Yeah, that's right. Can you hear me on that? So the graveling program, as you can see there, we've got 104 miles completed to date. The gravel recovery, we've got 29 miles, and the shoulder pull, we've got 5 miles. The shoulder pull project, or shoulder pull crew, we did add on some additional projects while they were in that area. So I think on the map you can see that there's some blue lines. Anything that's blue lines or blue dots are additional projects that weren't part of the original plan, but they were kind of emergent projects. So that explains that. The patching program is now complete. So Tallstrip has now completed their contract for patching within the MD. The MD forces themselves continue to do patching. They'll continue to do that throughout the year. I think they're doing pretty good with that. Nothing really delaying them on that. The overlay projects, so Brooks Asphalt was awarded that contract and they are scheduled to start late this week or early next week. They keep getting pushed off by the rain that we keep getting every once in a while. So they're supposed to start tomorrow, but I doubt that's going to happen. And I just noticed that we're supposed to get some rain early next week as well. So that might push them off again, but they're scheduled to be here soon. So
As a follow-up, that would be asking about the map and how we know which ones are completed and which ones aren't. Is there a way of telling the difference?
yeah, the green lines. So those green lines will be completed projects. That's why it's a little busy. The light green, the lightest green lines, those will be completed projects. Yeah. So hopefully next report, I will bring three maps, separate maps, so you can kind of see.
Maybe Corey, while we're talking roads, on VDCC, we've had a letter brought forward about the 521. And was that part of the Tallstrip project to fill those, or is that a provincial responsibility?
Yeah, 521 is a provincial highway, so Volker would be doing those.
Okay, is there any way we can encourage them to reassess the potholes on that road?
We bring it up to them every meeting that I have with
Okay.
AT and Volker, but
Okay, that's all I can ask for, and I'll relay the message, but we'll see where it goes.
Kind of along the lines of provincial responsibility, I've been receiving a number of calls regarding roadside mowing and weeds on the secondary roads, or the provincial roads in the MD. And I know it's not us, but residents are noting weeds and well, tall vegetation along the roadsides of the secondary and primary highways.
I can take that note and then talk to Volker.
Feel free to also share the updates you've already received on it via email.
Okay, council, any other questions? And as we go through the consent agenda, if something comes to mind, you can for sure ask it. I do have a question on overtime, but I'll ask that in closed session related to HR. Okay, so then we will continue down the agenda to the Q2 financial reporting on operating.
So this is the new format of a quarterly report that we brought forward, given the direction from the new financial reporting policy. So this report focuses on providing information along with the numbers that are in our budgets and actuals. This is a new process that was undertaken by the organization, which had input from all managers and directors. They were all involved in producing the result of this report. The operating sections focus on, given that this is for the Q2, so end of June report, we're expecting that's 50% through the year. We're looking at those numbers, expecting them to be around that 50% expended. And so the variance summaries and comments are based on if those variances are plus or minus 10% from that 50%. So anything outside of between 40 and 60% of expenditures. And so each manager went through their responsible departments and outlined variances within the various categories. Due to the timing of this meeting that falls in July, typically the CAO report comes to the second council meeting. This limited our time in getting some of the things that we encountered of coding errors or some things being allocated to certain spots that we would be able to then fix in that extra week of time to get it to the agenda. Just we didn't have the time to make those corrections, but we've been making note of those to make those corrections in our system to reallocate them where they need to go. Those kind of things include, you'll notice in some of the areas it says that the insurance costs need to be reallocated to various areas. That's an account that is, we pay that at one point in the year, and then it gets allocated to the rest of the organization in the new year. Typically, historically, that was done at the year-end process. We have tried to move that towards throughout the year, so it's not being only found at the end of the year and seeing where those expenses are. Trying to make that so that people can see where those actuals are spent. Another one would be under the property taxes one. It seems to be there's an over collection in taxes, which is due to there being an under levy in 2024 for the school taxes, which then had to be collected in 2025, and those funds are being then collected, but the transaction on the accounting side needs to be performed to settle the receivable account we have, but then it will even that out, and there's it will no longer show that there is a higher than 101% taxes collected. It would be at 100% then. Also throughout the public works or municipal operations, the 32 functions that we see in there, there is some allocations of positions that have been changed, and so there's some corrections that need to happen to make sure that the correct positions are being coded to the correct areas. And that's one of the things we've identified, and these identifications are, in my opinion, are very valuable to my processes, because we can see where these things need to be corrected. We can catch these things earlier, whereas previously, without having this analysis being looked at this level, these may not have been caught until the end of the year. Where now we're catching them now and can make those corrections ahead of time before we get to the end of the year. One of the lines that you see on each page, or most pages, says transfer payments. That's a category naming convention related to the amortization of assets, and that one is done at the end of the year for our year-end processes, when we take the cost or of our assets and what they were quote unquote used in the year, and the way we depreciate those assets across their lifespan. But again, those will show no expenses at this time because they get entered as a transaction at the end of the year. In the CA report, there was the chart for overtime. One of the areas that we had talked about was showing the overtime, but only the unscheduled overtime. That's still a work in progress to get that information. So this chart that's in there does show all of the overtime, which would include overtime that is part of the scheduled hours of the municipal operations teams that are part of their regular duties, regular hours that they take where they are out in the field. And it doesn't show only the unscheduled hours. That's one we're still working on being able to reflect that information. In continuation of there's the capital projects reports, which show the list of projects and their progress depending on each quarter. Show the description of the project and then the update at the end of the second quarter, whether they are, what status are, whether they're purchased, completed, or in tender or in design, whatever it may be, depending on the project, along with their project budget and their actuals that have been spent on those. I guess I'll pause at that point before continuing on if there's any questions on any of the operations or the capital projects.
So on the overtime chart you spoke of, the 2024 then was the
2024 would have included all overtime, even the scheduled overtime, so even the part of the regular duties, and so we are working to show the unscheduled overtime.
So the chart that we see in front of us shows both on both years. Or is the 2024 only unscheduled?
No, 2024 is regular work hours.
Yeah,
Everything that was scheduled and unscheduled.
Oh, so they're the same, they're reporting the same in
It's
24
being-
and
It's
25?
the same comparison.
it's the same, yeah, for this report, yeah, it's showing 2024, 25, the same information.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Director Passy? I think we can just keep going.
Okay. The next report we have is the bank reconciliations report, where previously you would have seen a document that had a couple of tables and that was a manually entered spreadsheet to kind of calculate and show what was in the bank balances and the reconciliations. We've changed that to showing the reports that are generated from our system. Previously we were only reconciling one bank or two bank accounts in our electronically. We've now moved that to the 4 bank accounts all being reconciled electronically in our system. And what you're seeing here, what this means is for the first one is showing our general bank account. We enter into the system what the bank statement balance is at the end of the period, so at the end of the month. And then we have the system generates what the outstanding checks are, what are the outstanding payments that have to go out, and then any outstanding deposits that need to be that we've recorded as being received, but maybe are at the bank and haven't been deposited into the account at that point. So transactions that happened on June 29th, June 30th that haven't quite made it to the bank at that point, but we've had transactions happen here in the office or recording those transactions. And then outstanding journal entries that have to be processed. This one is a large one. It's related to the the school requisition that comes out on June 30th. And so that's why we're seeing a large outstanding journal entry on that. For that reason, it's related to that one transaction. And then it shows us a total, what we expect the bank statement total to be at 730,000. Then it shows the balance as the per GL, which is as per the GL, which is what in our system it says our account balance is. And then we have any of the transactions that are outstanding, which is again the offsetting side of this journal entry, and we get a total of 731,000 and a difference of 0. So what we're looking for here is to see that difference as 0, because we want to see that what we see the bank, what our bank statement says is one amount, what our GL says is the same amount, or they say what the different ins and outs might say, and then the difference is 0. This is the one that you will see the most outstanding transactions still on the subsequent accounts. They are more or less like savings accounts. They hold the funds. The general account, we keep a low amount in there. It's just the operating funds of the ins and outs, that when we write checks, when we make EFT transfers, when payroll or school withdrawals, we put money into that account to cover the transactions that we're expecting to happen in the next little while. And we make those transfers out of these other accounts depending on what needs to be, and then those ones are kept to generate interest and earnings for at a higher rate. So next account, it says the ATB MUSH savings. MUSH is municipal, university, schools, hospitals accounts. It's just a moniker that it's just for those public body accounts that this institution offers. Again, not seeing any outstanding deposits because those have been reconciled, that we know where they are, and those are the balances that we're seeing there. The third one is the Public Reserve Trust account, which is related to, we keep that separate for costs that come into when there's development that happens and they make a contribution to the Public Reserve Trust rather than setting aside a parcel of land for that development. And finally, the fourth account is related to the Horsefly spillway project and the funds that are part of that, being the grant funds and the municipal partners funds are held in that account. And each of those reconciliation ones are performed by a member of staff who does not handle cash on a daily basis, or does not handle cash. So these are the transactions are handled by one group of people. The reconciliation is done by someone who does not handle cash, and then it's reviewed by myself to go over those as well. That's probably all you wanted to know and more about bank reconciliations.
Yeah, that probably is. And for me, as much as I appreciate the raw technical data, it probably doesn't demonstrate to council much, right? Like it's more so, are we on track for this year? Are we not? And I mean, I recognize the other reports do that. So I realize this is an exercise in transparency. But as a counselor, I don't have much comparison. I look at it and go, oh, good, it reconciled to 0, which is what I want to do in my own books. But otherwise, I don't have much reference, so I don't know how others feel. And then I would give you the chance to go back to the Q2 financial on capital, because I think that even the front page gives us a nice summary, and I just don't want you to miss one. I know you guys have done a lot of work on these ones as well. If people had questions on those capital projects. It gives us a good snapshot of what's happening, and then the details are subsequent.
And also when I appreciate the comment of now you can find some errors easier throughout the year instead of having to do extra work at the end, backtracking, that's pretty valuable.
Councillor Takeda.
On the project summary report, so when the budget is higher than the contract tender, it only recognizes the budget, is that correct?
Correct. These
So-
will show the budget amount. If the
Mhm.
for a project that has a tender amount that say, let's say if it comes in under, then we would, once that project is complete, we would see that difference. We would see that if the budget is $1 million, the tender comes in at 800,000. We will see that project expended to its full extent and completed, and we will see the actuals at $800,000. That $200,000, depending on where this project is funded from, if it's funded from a grant, then we only collect the $800,000 of the grant. If it's funded from reserve, we only take $800,000 out of the reserve. The other stuff, the other remaining amount, just stays where it comes from, either in the reserve or from a grant program. It just stays in its home.
Thank you.
Any other questions on these 3 agenda items? And just a reminder, the MD admin team places the checks on the website or on the OneDrive, I believe we call it, and it's quite easy to access. And if you have any trouble accessing it, you can just reach out to Arliss or find the email that Mike had sent earlier, so that you can actually see the itemized checks that are there. And I know I've had a few questions and I just fired them off to Arliss, and then Mike responds, and they were very simple answers. And I know Deputy Reeve de Groot, as he goes through signing, asks questions that he feels are relevant as well. But that is open and very available to all of council. That practice was changed because there was some privacy matters with all the checks being open and available. Okay, any other questions on those 3 financials? Anything else, Director Passy, that you'd like to bring forward?
No, just for clear, I will never go into the bank reconciliations to that detail again. It was just a new document for you to see. It's not an interesting thing to see. But you mentioned that this maybe is a little not what you're looking for, or maybe if there's something that would be provide the information that you are looking for, then I'd be happy to see some kind of change that to make sure that you're getting what you're wanting to see.
I guess my point was the first 2 documents of this financial report are extremely valuable. The 3rd document is a exercise in transparency, which is very important for the public. So it's not so much that I don't appreciate it. I'm looking for those details in the Q2 report. And I appreciate that it's very clear that the bank's balance, that it's been reconciled and we have money in the account.
Yeah, I won't go into that detail ever again, so.
It's okay. That might be just a me problem. Okay. April and May counselor earnings. You can see at the top of the page, the website that puts into detail. We do have a policy that counselor earning per diems are to be submitted before the next council meeting in the month. So we should try to stay to that practice. And then any questions for anyone on the per diem earnings? And then we'll move into correspondence. So Foothills Little Bow is quite straightforward. If we have a resolution that we want to bring forward, it's August 29th for the September 19th meeting. So we would really have quite limited time. So if you have something you want brought forward, it would have to be done at the next council meeting. And then a very nice thank you with photos from the Southwest Senior Rodeo, Linden Glennis Turcato. It is nice to hear what our donation did and see a few photos. So I appreciate those thank yous. And then this is for council and for the community to see our letter of support for the speed limit reduction on Highway 526. We're just going to try to make that a practice when we send a letter to an elected official, they be included in our agendas as long as they are not a breach of privacy or a FOIA issue. Any questions on those correspondence? Okay, any items that you have a request for exemption out of the consent agenda? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So with this request for speed reduction, at the Coffee with Council and Enchant, we did hear that there's might be some issues with Jake brakes as they reduce their speeds. So one problem being solved might create another one. How then is that enforcement looked at when if there's a change made, would AT then be putting signs up that there'd be fines, or is that up to us to do that?
Well, the highway's in the jurisdiction of AT, but it could be, I'll have to find out. Like, if we need to change a bylaw, then we'll have to change excuse me, if we'll have to change a bylaw, then we'll just go down the avenue of enforcement when it's available, I guess.
Just thought I'd bring it up because it was fresh in my mind.
Any other questions or comments? So with that, I would ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Give the motion to approve the consent agenda as it's been presented.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, we'll go on to upcoming meetings and events. And perhaps, Harless, you could just run through these next 4 invitations first, and then we'll look at the event spreadsheet.
Yeah, so for the new additions, there's the Stars Helicopter Showcase invitation, Communities in Bloom annual barbecue invite, Fortis Alberta annual barbecue invite, and SMRID's 125th anniversary invitation. Those
Okay.
are the newest additions.
And they have been added to council calendar. Should be noted, Communities in Bloom, which has been changed in your calendar, went from August 24th to August 23rd, but it has been noted in your calendar. So the one question I wanted to just confirm, upcoming Saturday is Barnwell Days Parade. Counselor Harris, are you still available to participate in that parade?
No, I won't be here this weekend.
Okay. Is there any member from council who is available this weekend? Okay, and you know what? That is the reality. Most of us have been doing council things every weekend. So we'll have a discussion about the Barnwell Parade. I know our firefighters, I believe, are taking part, and so that may be our contribution. We have candy for them to distribute. Okay, any questions or anything that's missing on upcoming meetings and events? Seeing none, then I would ask for a motion to receive that.
I give you a motion to receive the upcoming meetings and events.
Okay, any questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, donation requests.
So the two donations outlined in this RFD, one is from a donation request coming from the, an in-kind donation request coming from the Cemetery Association out in Grassy Lake, not just with respect to provision of gravel. And then one for the Tabor Food Bank, from the Tabor Food Bank. And Bryce, if you have anything to add, feel free.
No, the gravel, I'll add a little bit to the gravel. It was felt by operations took a look at the site in cooperation with the application and determined to be 3 loads of gravel. So you can see that's reflected in the in-kind contribution. And the Tabor Food Bank essentially is for the processing of meat on behalf of their workflows. So just to support the Tabor Food Bank in that particular activity that they conduct.
Okay, council, do you have any questions related to these requests? And the in-kind amount that's been quantified for us for the cemetery is $1,200, that's correct?
I can give you a motion that the municipal district of Tabor approve an in-kind donation for 1,200 donation to the Grassy Lake Cemetery Society for gravel and application for the roadways in the Prairie View Cemetery in response to their application to the municipal district of Tabor donations to community organizations, programs, events, and activities policies.
Thank you. Any questions or comments to the read-in motion? Those in favor? That motion is carried. The next motion, Councillor Trudeau.
Give you the motion that the municipal district of Tabor approve a $5,000 donation to the Tabor Food Bank Society in support of their food security program by covering the costs of processing for donated meat in the response to their application to the municipal district of Tabor's donations to community organizations, programs, events, and activities policy.
Thank you. I'll just add one bit of color to that. So we have farmers and ranchers who will donate an animal to the food bank, and then it gets taken to the processors. The processor in Vauxhall and in Coaldale give it to us at cost. So the cost is the cut and wrap that this donation would support. So it is a very good program that again speaks to the community mindedness of the ranchers and the farmers who donate the animal, and then the cost for the processing.
So to your knowledge, Reed Munega, is 5,000 enough for the year? Or would they require other donations from other organizations and individuals to be able to cover the cost for the 12 months?
So the Tabor Food Bank operates solely on donations, and so this would not fulfill the line item for processing of meat for for people who receive donations. But again, the food bank is fortunate to receive from Service Club, individuals, churches, so that money gets budgeted, and this will just be an important part of the program. It used to be a federal program, and 7 years ago, the federal government took this program away. So they've had to source other mechanisms. Deputy Reeve?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to that program. With our farm, we've donated numerous cows over the years, and it's a benefit to the food bank as well as the farmer. It's something that all cattle operators should be looking at.
I guess I have a follow-up. Since we have this Foothill Little Bow and a chance for resolution, should this be something we bring forward at Foothills Little Bow, that since the feds have dropped this program, should we be asking the province to maybe pick it up? And it's not covering the full cost, but even just giving some type of a donation to help with processing of meat. Because I think especially in southern Alberta, I would imagine that it's quite often that they receive these animals, and protein is very expensive. And if you can assist at all in what it costs to get that cut and wrapped, maybe we should be asking the provincial government for that. And maybe I'll bring that up at the request for information and motions.
I think that's worthwhile. Not just for that, but on staff, but any other questions on this? This motion on the floor is that MD of Tabor approve $5,000 donation to Tabor Food Bank in support of their food security project by covering costs of processing for donated meat in response to their application to the MD of Tabor donations to community organizations, programs, events, and activity policy. Any further comments or questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so we will go on to aggregate crushing contract award.
So since the first meeting in June, when we received direction to explore this option, we've issued a request. We tendered out this to the private sector, and we received the proposed submission here, and total of 428,000. We received one submission bid outlined in the RFD, and proposing that we do the crushing in the snake pit this year. And Corey, if you have anything to add.
No, I'm just here to answer any questions you have.
I'm just wondering, we were planning, it looks like, on doing 120,000 tons. Gonna do 80. Our overall stockpiles, are we getting depleted? Are we keeping up with this, or we're just looking into the future? Are we keeping up, I guess, keeping enough stockpile on hand for what graveling miles we have planned?
Yeah, I believe last council meeting I brought our stockpiles to that meeting. I believe it was about 2 years we have in reserves. So the 80,000 was just to try and get close to what was available for budget. As you can see, the 428 is over what we've already got allocated for budget. But
And we made a commitment that we would trial this year. We heard at the last meeting the circumstances behind moving to a contract. So I think this year it has to be under quite a bit of scrutiny and to make sure we have the quality and the costs are manageable, and then we'll have to make some further decisions. Council, do you have other comments or questions regarding this tender?
I guess, one concern is that there was only one tender received. I'm going to make a assumption that it has a lot to do with the amount of crushing that's going on in the area right now with the road construction. But it is notable that there's only one tender, so that's a bit of a concern to me.
And this would be for this calendar year, correct? So this budget year? And then should we look at, if it's successful and looks like a good job, we'll probably be re-tendering for the 2026 crushing season?
Yeah, that's correct. The plan is to tender each year.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? And if no questions, someone prepared to make a motion.
I can give you the motion that Municipal District of Tabor approve awarding the contract to Sage Management Limited for $428,000 in order to complete the aggregate crushing at Snake Pit, and that additional funding up to $45,000 be allocated from the general municipal operating reserve.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Those in favor of the read-in motion? That motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item, 9.3, joint election resolution. Arliss?
So this is with respect to coordinating and collaborating with the Horizon School District. If there is a need, or if there is a municipal election in any one of the divisions, that we can support and collaborate their election as well, with respect to the school trustees.
My only question is, did they reach out to us, or or us to them? And would that same grace be given to Holy Spirit, recognizing they have some different divisions than MD of Tabor, but Horizon does as well?
I think it was us that reached out to them, correct? Or vice versa.
Vice versa.
They
Okay,
reached out to us.
all right, so then it would be on Holy Spirit School Division if they chose to reach out. Okay, that's fine. All right, with that, I mean, that just makes sense. Good neighbors, people are coming to vote in the same location, so I don't have any issue.
Okay, I give you a motion that the Municipal District of Tabor approve the coordination of a joint election with the Horizon School Division.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor of the read-in motion? It's carried. Okay, we will wait till 10:30 for the next, oh, sorry, Regional Community Standards appointment. Do that one.
Yeah, and council, I believe, has seen a few of these before. Whenever the Tabor Police Service, which is the agency that provides our community standards, local by law enforcement, whenever they bring on a new officer, there's a requirement for the municipality to designate them to carry out those enforcement responsibilities within the municipalities. So that's what this is.
Okay, again, quite straightforward. It just enables all of their officers to carry out the community standards duties in the MD of Tabor.
I can give the motion that the municipal district of Tabor appoint pursuant to section 555 sub 1 of the Municipal Government Act of Alberta as the designated bylaw enforcement officer and bylaw officer of the Tabor Police Service new member Henry Clausen.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor of the motion? That is carried. Okay, I will wait to ask about council requests for information till we're done the meeting, just so that if anything comes out of any of the other items. We'll wait on 9.5, 10.1, and 10.2 for the lands team. So that takes us to the items for closed session. And I'm going to read in all three of those before we, so we're not going in and out. So the first one, 13.1, closed session item pursuant to section 1972 of the MGA and section 19 of Access to Information Act, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party, Explore Inc. UBF Alberta project. The second item follows section 16, 21, 22, and 23 of Div 2 Part 1 of ATIA, disclosure harmful to law enforcement, advice from officials, testing procedures, tests, audit, and privileged information. And the third item is HR related, and that is section 19 to access to information, disclosure harmful to personal privacy. Okay, so what I will suggest is we'll have a motion to go into closed, then we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll deal with the three items.
I give you a motion to go to closed.
All right, those in favor? Thank you. Thank you. So a motion to come out of closed.
Motion to come into closed session.
Thank you, Murray. All in favor? Okay. There were 3 items in closed. Is there any motions coming out? All right. Then we will go back to 9.5 development permit 92-25.
Okay, development permit 92-25. Summary of the key points. The application was received by administration for a revision to a previously approved development permit 160-24 for construction of an 80 by 90, 7,200 square foot shop building, including an office on lot 3, block 37, plan 1711853 under land use designation of direct control. The revision includes an 80 by 100, 8,000 square foot shop for industrial class C use. The shop setback does not come any closer to the roadside setback than was approved previously. An additional 10 feet would be added to the rear of the building to accommodate a larger office within the building. Based on the review of the proposed amendment, administration is of the opinion that the proposed change is not significant enough to require another development hearing, and as such, approval of development permit application 92-25 is recommended. Upon review of the development hearing process for development permit application 160-24, substantial public notification was undertaken due to the notification radius encompassing most of Grassy Lake. Additionally, the development hearing minutes for development permit application 160-24 noted that no public was in attendance, as well as no written comments were received at that time. Land designated as direct control provides a means for council to regulate the control and use of development of the land and buildings within a specific area of the municipality. The direct control district was approved with bylaw 1902, which prescribes the approval authority for development to the MD Council. The purpose of the redesignation, the land to direct control, was to provide a means to regulate and control use and develop of the land on site-specific basis to accommodate a mix of non-residential uses while managing potential impacts and surrounding area. There's also some background provided there. Go into the info sheet itself. I won't go over things that were addressed in the summary. I will add that should council approve development application 92-25 with the conditions and informative, that a condition 13 be added that reads the approval of the development application 92-25 hereby makes development permit 160-24 null and void. It's a typical condition we have to nullify the previous approval with the previous site plan.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Councillor Turcado.
So really the only difference here is the addition of 10 feet on this building, is that right?
There is another change with the site plan itself. If I forget what attachment this is showing the map site. Yeah, there it is. So this one shows it's 100 feet from the western property boundary, whereas the previous plan below here showed it at 150 feet. So it just got 100 feet close, or sorry, 50 feet closer to the west.
Okay, with that, I'll give you the motion that the Municipal District of Taber approve development permit 92-25, subject to the conditions and informative as presented, with the addition of condition number 13.
Okay, any questions from council? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, now we're moving into bylaws. Land use bylaw number 2011, amendment Okay, Arliss, then to,
Yeah, we have our senior planner from Old Man River Regional Services Commission here to speak to the next, or this agenda item and the next agenda item, both being land use bylaw amendments.
are they, I recognize that they are different, but is there efficiencies in speaking them together, or you want them kept apart?
I think we should speak to them individually.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. The proposal before you is consideration of first reading to bylaw number 2018, which is an amendment to the land use bylaw. We are, the MD is in receipt of an amendment application that proposes to redesignate a portion of land described as Lot 1, Block 11, Plan 0712622. This is just south of Enchant. It involves approximately 12.42 acres of a 132.74 acre parcel, more or less, with the proposal to rezone that portion from Hamlet Industrial to Rural Agricultural, as shown on the schedule attachment. And then also to adjust the boundary of the hamlet of Enchant to align with the northeast boundary of Lot 1, Block 11, Plan 0712622, as shown in that attachment as well. And so the purpose of proposed bylaw 2018 is for consistency with the current agricultural land use, and then to adjust that hamlet boundary accordingly. Some of the background, historically, this portion of property has been zoned hamlet industrial, as it was part of the railway alignment. And then in 2007, the MD of Tabor did some realignment of properties there and a subsequent subdivision that resulted in the dedication of road for the road into Enchant, and then created parcel on the east, and then this residual piece that was actually consolidated with the agricultural piece to the south. So looking at the hamlet boundary itself, it doesn't make any sense to have that little strip of land being zoned industrial. If there was to be any future expansion of the hamlet boundary, we'd have to look at possibly re-subdivision of the whole parcel to the south, and then it would make more sense to deal with that portion as a whole instead of just this little strip of land. Also, the landowner is interested in undertaking a subsequent subdivision on the north end, and that property is currently split zoned with rural ag and industrial. So with this, there is the requirement for a land use bylaw amendment. The boundary of a hamlet is also set through the land use bylaw, which is the purpose of this bylaw for your consideration of first reading. As a bylaw of the land use, we will have to hold a public hearing and circulate to all affected parties, including adjacent landowners and Alberta Transportation. So we are recommending consideration that the MD of Tabor give first reading to bylaw 2018 to amend land use bylaw number 2011 effective upon third reading, and to proceed with the public notification process for the public hearing to be held at 1 p.m. on August 19th, 2025 council meeting.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? If not, then I would look for a motion. Councillor Reynolds.
I can move that the municipal district of Tabor give first reading to bylaw number 2018 to amend the land use bylaw number 2011 effective upon third reading of the bylaw, and to proceed with the public notification process for public hearing to be held at 1:00 p.m. at the August 19th, 2025 council meeting.
For purposes of record keeping, do you want, they can still be both moved by Murray, but do you want two motions so that we take two votes?
Yeah, they should be separate.
Okay.
I think they should be
So
separate.
Counselor Reynolds, are you okay with that? I'll just split them. Okay, so we'll have them both moved by Counselor Reynolds. So the first one was just read in, bylaw number 2018 to amend land use bylaw number 2011, effective upon third reading of the bylaw. Those in favor? That motion's carried. Next motion is proceed with the public notification process for public hearing to be held at 1 p.m. at the August 19th council meeting. Any questions? Those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. All right, and then moving on to the second amendment.
Okay, before council's consideration is bylaw number 2020 to amend land use bylaw number 2011 with a recommendation that MD Council give all readings to this, as it is an administrative matter that can be dealt with unanimous consent to address a clerical error that was identified in the new MD of Tabor land use bylaw number 2011. The heading for a district, our rural agricultural district, which has had that heading for a very long time, was mistakenly incorrectly titled rural agriculture on the district heading and the sidebar tab, as well as the table of contents. The intended title for the district is rural agricultural, for consistency with all other pertinent sections of the land use bylaw, and also for consistency with all previous land use bylaws that the MD has had. It is recommended that the MD Tabor Council deem it proper and expedient to correct this clerical error, and deems that the correction does not materially affect the bylaw in principle or substance. In accordance with section 63(1) and 63(2)(g)(1) of the Municipal Government Act, it does provide that council may by bylaw authorize the revision of a bylaw to make changes without materially affecting the bylaw in principle. As well, section 692(6) of the MGA allows that a bylaw under section 692(1), which is the planning bylaws, specifically a land use bylaw, may be amended without giving notice or holding public hearing if the amendment corrects a clerical, technical, grammatical, or typographical error and does not materially affect the bylaw in principle or substance. As indicated, the recommendation is for MD of Tabor Council to give first reading, second reading, and third reading to correct the clerical error. There are some alternatives too if you don't wish to proceed with that, which are indicated in the report.
Thank you. Any questions on this correction?
Just one question. Has there been any consequence to this error? That needs
No.
So nothing that needs to be remedied
No.
as a result of this error?
No.
Okay, with that, I would accept a motion for first reading.
I can give you a motion that the MD of Tabor give first reading to bylaw number 2020 to amend land use bylaw 2011, effective upon third reading of the bylaw.
Thank you. Those in favor? That motion is carried. Second reading?
I can give you a motion that the Municipal District of Tabor give second reading to bylaw number 2020 to amend land use bylaw number 2011, effective upon third reading of the bylaw.
Thank you. Those in favor? That's carried. So a motion to proceed to third reading does require unanimous vote. Do you have someone willing to make that? Councillor Chikado.
I don't know, is it just ask for unanimous consent, or do I read the bylaw third reading? Ask for unanimous consent?
To move to third reading.
I'll give you the motion to consider all three readings and provide a motion that the MD of Tabor give third and final reading to bylaw number 2020 to amend land use bylaw number 2011, effective upon third reading of the bylaw, and that we vote on unanimous consent.
Okay, so we are
So
voting,
That should be two separate.
yeah, so we're gonna vote on whether we can proceed to third reading.
I'll give you the motion that we do unanimous consent on bylaw number 2020.
Okay, those in favor of proceeding to third reading? Thank you, that is carried, and we can now contemplate someone to move third reading. Counselor Reynolds,
I can move that municipal district of Tabor give a third and final reading to bylaw 2020 to amend land use bylaw number 2011, effective upon third reading of the bylaw.
thank you. Any questions? Those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. Okay. We will go to resolutions, we don't have to. Consent agenda exemptions, we don't need to. Council request for information and motion. Yes,
It's gonna be a request for information, but I also missed my opportunity for announcements and recognitions, kind of lumped into the same thing. When I was fortunate enough to view the PGA promotional video that was provided on social media, that used a fair bit of drone footage, as well as an excellent commentary by Reeve Mianaga. And that's where I missed my opportunity this morning, so I'm doing that now. Good job, Reeve Mianaga. I was wondering if there's a possibility, we've had reoccurring issues with either drone pilots or drones themselves being out of commission. I was wondering if there's a way of maybe finding someone that might be a professional drone pilot and provide that service as needed. Because I think we had an opportunity in Hayes this weekend as well. And with some of our barbecues as well, we might have the opportunity to have drone footage for promotion of the MD. And the event in Hayes, there was 2,500 people in attendance. Would have been nice to see an overhead visual of that. And so just wondering if there'd be a possibility of exploring hiring or putting it out to an RFP for, I guess, drone work in the MD of Tabor.
would you, Deputy Reeve?
Just a question to that for staff. Do we have anybody with a drone license within the MD if we updated our current one that's in need of a battery?
I think we might, I think we do have somebody that's certified. I don't know to what extent. There's varying levels, so I don't.
So when the first iteration of the drone and the person who was certified, or multiple persons, I mean, we actually flew roads and used that as part of our data for that. So I get Councillor Chiqueto's sounds like more for economic development and promotion, but I do think your motion could include a 2026 budget discussion on the use of drones for the MD of Tabor and keep it.
What you said.
We just are, you know, we in our 70th anniversary video, the drone video of our hamlets, our parks, it showcased it fantastic. And so perhaps we could copy some of that, but also use it for evaluative purposes. Mm-hmm.
That works for me.
Okay, so the motion reads that the MD of Tabor investigate the feasibility of commissioning a certified drone pilot to be available for the purpose of promoting municipal district events, celebrations, and other community initiatives through aerial photography and videography, and further that administration consider the inclusion of this initiative in the 2026 budget deliberations. Thank you. Any questions? So eloquent. All right, those in favor? That motion's carried. Okay, we had one other one as a motion, and I'll help out that motion. Okay, I would move that MD of Tabor investigate a possible, just investigate Foothills Little Bow motion, recognizing, oh, here we go. You're good. I was got a pressure fees for. You can just call it with regard to a protein program for Alberta food banks with donated. And you can just say, I think, would the word be livestock, guys? I just want to double check what you would. Yeah, probably like.
For the processing.
Yes. Just at the bottom with donated livestock. It's fine. For the processing fees for Alberta food banks associated with donated livestock. Okay. You have somebody who wants to make it other than me. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'll move that the MD of Tabor research and prepare a draft resolution to be presented at the fall 2025 Foothills Little Bow meeting with regards to a protein program for processing fees for Alberta food banks associated with donated livestock, and that the draft resolution be presented at the August Committee of the Whole meeting for council comment and feedback. Okay, those in favor? That motion is carried. Councillor Hildebrandt, do you have something?
Yeah, well, we've received confirmation from Alberta Transportation Economic Corridors here just recently that there will be an east access to Grassy Lake from the new twinned highway.
You.
Oh, okay. Okay, and so just happy to have that confirmation from Alberta Transportation Economic Corridors. A big thank you to them for hearing our concerns, and to staff as well for their continued communication regarding that matter. And it's something that I'm sure the community will be very relieved about, and I'm very pleased that we made progress on that. And just thank you to staff, administration, and to Alberta Transportation Economic Corridors for working on securing this access.
Thank you, Councillor Hildebrandt. Okay, any other members of council have anything they would like to bring forward? Lise, have we covered off everything? Okay. All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.